We're going to divide polynomials using synthetic division. Synthetic division is a little easier to do than long division when you're dividing polynomials. So if you're given the choice, I would do synthetic. All right, so once you know the steps, it's really easy to do. The steps are a little confusing, but once we actually do a problem, it'll make a whole lot more sense. All right, you're going to write the constant r of the dividend, x minus r. You're always given a binomial that you're dividing by, x minus a value. The value r, you're going to write it in a box. You're going to follow this by the coefficients of the dividend. So the coefficients are the numbers that are multiplied by the variables in your original polynomial. Second step, multiply the first coefficient that you have written down by your r value and write the answer below the second coefficient. You're going to add the second coefficient and the answer from step 2 together. You're going to repeat steps 2 to 3 as you go on to multiply the second coefficient by your, what's been brought down by the value r. Then you're going to write that answer below the third coefficient and you're going to add them together. You're going to keep going till you get to the end. And the numbers along the last row, the bottom, are the coefficients of the answer. The degree, remember that's the exponent of your variable, of the first term is 1 less than the degree of the dividend. The last number in the bottom row will be your remainder. So if the remainder is 0, if you have 0, it means you don't have a remainder. They seem kind of confusing right now, but once we get started on a problem, it's really easy. If you do not get a remainder, meaning you get a 0, so there's no remainder, it means that the binomial, so let's look at a problem, the binomial that you're dividing by is a factor of your polynomial. So anytime you don't have a remainder, meaning nothing left over, means it's a factor. It goes in evenly. So you're going to put down 2 answers. You're going to write the answer to your division problem, and you're also going to write if the binomial you're dividing by is a true factor of the polynomial you're given. So on this first one, remember that value r, it's x minus r. We have addition right here, so we're going to change this to a subtraction statement. We're just going to change it to minus -2, because remember, minus and negative is the same thing as plus a positive. So just make it a subtraction statement. All right, so we have a -2 is our r value. Just going to write that down. All right, then we're going to write the coefficients, numbers multiplied by the variables. Here it is 1 for our x cubed. We have a positive 5x squared, a positive 8x, and the plus 4, or positive 4. Okay. So just bring that first number down. So I'm going to bring 1 down. Okay, here, you're going to take that first coefficient and multiply it by your value r. So we're going to multiply this times -2 and write the answer right below our second coefficient. So 1 times -2 is -2. All right, then we add 5 plus -2 is 3. Now we're going to repeat those steps. Once we get a number down here, we multiply it by our value r, and then write what it equals below the next coefficient. So 3 times -2 is -6. Add 8 plus -6 is 2. Again, we're going to take this number, multiply it times -2, write the answer below the next number. So 2 times -2 is -4. Add 4 plus -4 is 0. Remember I said that last number that we're given will be a remainder. Okay, so if the remainder is 0, that means that this binomial factored into the polynomial an even number of times. So part of my answer is saying yes, x plus 2 is a factor of my polynomial. Second part is writing out my answer. So we have to multiply these by our variables. We have to figure out what the exponents are. And our last one will just be a constant. It won't have a variable multiplied by it. Remember, this is the remainder, so we're not looking at that one. Our first variable, we have 1 multiplied by, it's going to be x squared because you always subtract 1 from the largest degree. So it'll be 1x squared or just x squared plus 3x, we're always taking 1 away, plus 2. See how we just brought those numbers down and multiplied them by the variables, and the last one was a coefficient. Sorry, it was a constant. It didn't have a, these ones are coefficients. The constant didn't have a variable that it was multiplied by. All right, next one. We have the minus 2, y minus 2, meaning 2 is our r value. All right, y to the 4th would be 1y to the 4th. Okay, we don't have a y to the 3rd power, but we can't leave that out. You have to, it has to be in descending order, and you have to include all of the degrees. So this is the same thing as plus 0y to the 3rd. If it's not there, it means it's multiplied by 0. So the coefficient, number it is multiplied by, would be 0. Then we have y squared multiplied by negative 5. Y is multiplied by negative 1, and we have a plus 6. All right, so we'll end up adding these. We're going to bring that 1 straight down. 1 is multiplied times 2. 1 times 2 gives us 2. Add 0 plus 2 is 2. Now we're going to multiply this times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, right up below the next one. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. We're going to multiply negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2. Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 6 plus negative 6 is 0. So here's our remainder. Because our remainder is 0, yes, y minus 2 is a factor of our polynomial. All right, I'm going to write out my answer. We have y to the 4th is the largest degree, so my answer, largest degree, would be y to the 3rd. 1y to the 3rd, or just y to the 3rd, positive 2, so plus 2y squared, have to just decrease by 1. Negative 1y, because it's the minus, negative becomes minus, minus 3. So we brought down each of those, and that is our answer. All right, last one. We have x minus 3. It's already minus our r value, so our r value is 3. 1x cubed plus 2x squared minus 19x plus 15. All right, we're going to bring that 1 straight down. We have to multiply everything times 3. So we have 1 times 3 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. Multiply the 5 times 3 is 15, right up below the next coefficient. Add. Negative 19 plus 15 is negative 4. Okay, then we have to multiply negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Add. 15 plus negative 12 is 3. This is our remainder. Meaning, because there is a remainder, no, x minus 3 is not a factor of our polynomial. So we have to actually include our remainder in our answer. So x cubed is the largest degree, so this one will be 1x squared, or just x squared. Positive 5, so plus 5x minus 4. Plus, a remainder of 3 has to be written over what we divided by. We divided by x minus 3. And this is our answer. I'm going to give you a couple of problems to do. Go ahead and try them. And come back when you're ready for the answers, and I'll go through them with you. All right, this first one. 1 is our r value. We have 1x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5x plus 1. So we're going to bring that 1 straight down. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0, and that's our remainder. So I'm going to say yes, x minus 1 is a factor of our polynomial. Write out our answer. X squared, 1x squared, plus 4x minus 1. Okay, here we have to change what we divide by to a subtraction statement. Y minus negative 4, meaning negative 4 is our R value. We have 1y to the 4th plus 1y cubed minus 11y squared plus 2y minus 8. So bring that 1 straight down. We're multiplying times negative 4 here. So we have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. 1 plus negative 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Negative 11 plus 12 is 1. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Add. 2 plus negative 4 is negative 2. And negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. And when we add, we get 0. So again, this one is a factor. Y plus 4 is a factor of our polynomial. So y cubed would be what we start with, because that's 1 degree smaller, minus 3y squared, plus, I can put 1y or just y, minus 2. And the last one, all right, we have x plus 2 is what it's divided by, so I'm going to change it to a subtraction statement, minus negative 2, meaning negative 2 is our R value. We have 1x cubed plus 7x squared plus 7x minus 8. We're going to bring that 1 straight down. Multiply everything times negative 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 7 plus negative 2 is 5. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. 7 plus negative 10 is negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. So we have a remainder of negative 2, meaning no, x plus 2 is not a factor of our polynomial. Our largest degree is going to be x squared plus 5x minus 3. We have to write a remainder. So minus 2, because it's negative, over x plus 2, what we divided by. Hopefully you were able to divide using synthetic division.